Hello and welcome to another episode of Full Pass. I am Dr. Alok Mohan. We had been discussing about the embryology series, especially the general embryology, and today we will be discussing about fertilization. So we had already discussed about the first and second week of embryogenesis, about the spermatogenesis, gametogenesis, trophoblast differentiation, and today we'll be discussing about fertilization. Okay, so what is fertilization? This is actually the process by which the male as well as the female gametes fuse. Okay, the male and the female gametes, they fuse. Of course, this is the process of fertilization. And where does it take place? It takes place in the ampulla of the fallopian tube. Okay, some say it takes place at the isthmic ampullary junction, but the better answer would be definitely the ampulla of the fallopian tube. Okay, so what happens during the process of sexual intercourse is about 200 to 300 million sperms, they are deposited within the vagina, and from here only 1% of this will travel to the cervix. Okay, that is about 2 to 3 million will be present within your cervix, and out of these 2 to 3 million sperms, only 300 to 500 will reach the site of fertilization, which is the ampulla, and out of these 300 to 500 only one will actually fertilize the ovum. Clear? So how does that take place? We'll see, right? The sperm, as you know, has to travel a lot of distance before it reaches the site of fertilization. So it has to travel from the cervix all the way up to the fallopian tube. Now in this video I'll be referring to fallopian tube as FT so that I can write it faster. Okay, so cervix to fallopian tube. Now this process actually takes about 30 minutes to 6 days. Now conventionally we will imagine that the sperm that has reached the site of fertilization in 30 minutes has got a better chance of fertilizing the ovum than the others, but that is actually not true, because for the purpose of fertilization to take place, or the process of fertilization to take place, it actually has some prerequisites. And what are these prerequisites? We'll see one by one. The first one would be the process of capacitation. Now capacitation we have already discussed in our video on spermatogenesis. I'll be providing the link below so that you can see it once again. So it's actually the final process of maturation of a spermatocyte. Okay, the maturation of the spermatocyte, it begins within your epididymis, which is also the site of storage as well as the site of where the motility begins, okay, for the spermatozoa. Now capacitation is actually that final step in maturation. Okay, it is actually a period of conditioning. It's a period of conditioning of the spermatozoa within your female genital tract or female reproductive tract. It is also the final stage of maturation of the sperm. Okay, and although the process of capacitation begins from the cervix itself, a major share or majority of it occurs within the fallopian tube. So it mostly occur in the fallopian tube. Now what is the significance of capacitation? Okay, before I say that, how much time does capacitation takes? It takes place approximately 7 hours. Okay, in case of human beings it takes about 7 hours for the process of capacitation. I hope it's clear. It takes about 7 hours for the process of capacitation in case of humans. Significance is that only those sperms that have got capacitated are able to pass through the corona radiata cells, right? Now what are these corona radiata cells? These are actually cells that stick out. You see, after the ovulation has taken place and the Graafian follicle has ruptured, some of the cells of the Graafian follicle, they are found sticking to the zona pellucida of the ovum. Okay, if I am going to draw an ovum like this, okay, if I am going to draw a ovum, seems I am not able to draw a circular structure. 1 second please. Okay, right, and if I am going to draw a zona like this, why am I leaving a space in between? That is actually the perivitelline space. Okay, That is the space between the oocyte as well as the zona pellucida. Now outside this there are going to be certain cells like this. Okay, they stick out like the rays of sunlight. Okay, they have a crown, they give a form like a crown like appearance. Okay, that's the word what corona means, right? Crown, like this. Okay, they'll be surrounding the ovum, as you can see, and the sperm has to penetrate these cells first. Okay, so how will the sperms have to penetrate? They will have to penetrate these cells first, then they'll have to penetrate these yellow cells that you can see here. Okay, they are not actually cells, that's actually a glycoprotein coat, that is your zona pellucida. They have to penetrate the zona pellucida, and then after entering into the perivitelline space they have to penetrate the plasma membrane of the ovum, right? So only those sperms that have got capacitated are able to get past the first barrier. That means that if a sperm travels within 30 minutes to the site of fertilization, it will not be able to fertilize the ovum until it completes capacitation. So there is no rush there. Okay, you have to complete capacitation. The sperm has to complete capacitation before it is able to fertilize the ovum. That is the first thing, first prerequisite. The second one is it has to undergo acrosomal reaction. So what is acrosomal reaction? You see, after it has crossed the first barrier, the second barrier, as we discussed, is the zona pellucida, right? Now after the sperm has got bound to the zona pellucida, okay, there are going to be certain enzymes that are going to be released, and these enzymes are actually necessary in order to cross the border of zona pellucida before it fertilizes the ovum. Okay, and this process is actually called as the acrosomal reaction, and during the within the acrosomal reaction, the acrosomal cap disappears. Okay, now we'll actually see in detail about the process, okay, about how everything is penetrated, the three barriers for fertilization for a sperm. So the first barrier that we are going to see, barrier number 1, would be the corona radiata. We've already seen that right now, the corona radiata. So how does the sperm cross this barrier? Okay, you see there is production of hyaluronidase. The spermatozoa produces hyaluronidase, which is actually released from the acrosome of the sperms, and this will actually disperse the cells. Which cells? The corona radiata cells. It disperses the cells of corona radiata. Then you have got the fallopian tube has got actually the mucosal enzymes, the tubal mucosal enzymes. This also aids in the process of penetration, or passage between the corona radiata. Then you have got the movement of the tail. What tail? The sperm's tail. Okay, the movement of the spermatozoa's tail, which is also very important for the process of penetration of corona radiata. That is the first barrier that the sperm has to penetrate. That is barrier number 1. Here I am going to mark in red. This is barrier number 1. Now barrier number 2 is this. What is this? This is zona pellucida. Right, that is what we are going to discuss right now. The second barrier, zona pellucida. So barrier number 2 is zona pellucida. Clear? What is zona? It is actually a glycoprotein shell, okay, and it's actually secreted by the oocyte as well as the follicular cells together. We've already discussed this in our video on oogenesis. Please do refer that. Okay, now the zona, the speciality or the peculiarity of zona is it's actually got a protein on its the zona is actually a glycoprotein, but there is actually a ligand there. It's actually a protein called as ZP3. We'll just draw that right now. Okay, this is the oocyte cell membrane. Okay, I'm not going to draw the perivitelline space right now. I'm just going to draw the zona. Right, space in between, small space in between is your perivitelline space. Okay, so this is zona. Now on the surface of the zona, actually there are certain proteins. Okay, like this. Now this is actually called as ZP3. It is actually a species specific, it's a species specific ligand, okay, and the sperm actually, after it crosses the corona radiata and reaches the zonal surface, it actually binds to the ZP3 protein. And what happens when it binds is it releases acrosin, it releases esterases. What releases? The sperm releases, okay, spermatozoa releases acrosin, esterases, as well as neuraminidase, and this will help the sperm to pass through the zona pellucida, okay. And now the sperm head has reached the perivitelline space, and from there it is going to penetrate the third barrier, which is the plasma membrane of the oocyte, the final barrier, okay. Now what happens is that immediately, just when the sperm head has contacted the plasma membrane of the oocyte, there are certain granules that are present beneath the plasma membrane of the oocyte which are going to come out. See, I'm going to draw certain granules here, okay. So this white space that is outside here, that I'm going to just these red dots, okay, that space is actually the perivitelline space. Now I'm going to draw certain granules that are present within the oocyte. Now these granules are actually going to come out like this, okay, they're going to come out into the perivitelline space. What are these granules? These violet colored granules, they are cortical granules, okay, the cortical granules, and they contain lysosomal enzymes, okay, they contain lysosomal enzyme. What it does is it actually comes out, and this will alter the membrane of the oocyte to other sperms so that only one sperm can bind, okay. So they are responsible for that, and this is called as cortical reaction. And what else does it does? It will alter the zona pellucida proteins like ZP3, okay. What it does, it inactivates those specific receptors on the zona pellucida so that other sperms are not able to enter through the zona pellucida. So this is called as the zona reaction. So both the cortical reaction as well as the zona reaction, both of them are actually present in order to prevent polyspermy. Both of them help in preventing polyspermy. Now we saw that the membrane, the third barrier, okay, this is the final barrier, this is the plasma membrane of the oocyte. Now when the plasma membrane of the sperm comes in contact with the plasma membrane of the oocyte, what happens is both of that fuses, both the plasma membrane fuse, and in humans the head and the tail of the sperm will enter into the cytoplasm of the oocyte, but the cell membrane as well as the mitochondria, they are left out, okay. The head and tail of the sperm will enter into the cytoplasm of the oocyte, but the cell membrane as well as the mitochondria of the spermatozoa are left out, right? So what happens after the sperm penetrates? Now it is the response of the oocyte. What is the response of the oocyte? We already saw how the sperm overcame all the three barriers, that is the barrier of the corona radiata, the barrier of the zona pellucida, and the plasma membrane of the oocyte. Now we are going to see how the oocyte is going to respond to this, okay. So it responds one by, of course, the cortical as well as the zona reaction. We have already seen that, and the zona reaction, we've already seen that. And the second is by resuming meiosis 2, right? So we saw that just before the process of ovulation, the meiosis 2 had begun, but it has got arrested at the metaphase 2, and now that is completed after the sperm head has penetrated the plasma membrane of the oocyte. Now what is the final result of this? After meiosis 2 is completed, there is formation of a mature oocyte, okay, mature oocyte. We also call it as a definitive oocyte, and there is a second polar body. The second polar body will be moving to the perivitelline space, Okay, and this mature oocyte, its nucleus is actually a vesicular nucleus. Okay, and we call this as a female pronucleus. Female pronucleus. So we'll just draw that now. Okay, so this is your mature ovum right now. Okay, and it has got a female pronuclei like this inside it. Okay, and the outside space, okay, here there is zona. Suppose this is the perivitelline space, okay, the space in between, the one that I'm going to now shade in blue, this one. Okay, the second polar body will be present here, it will be extruded, will be present somewhere here. Okay, now the sperm has entered into the cytoplasm. This is the tail and this is the head of the sperm. Clear? What happens to this is the tail will actually detach from the head, okay, and the tail will disintegrate. The tail will disintegrate, and the nucleus of the sperm, it will form the male pronucleus. Okay, it is actually very similar to the female pronucleus, like this. So this is the female pronucleus, this is the female pronucleus, and this is the male pronucleus. What happens? Both of these pronuclei, they lose their nuclear envelope like this. They slowly lose their nuclear envelope, right? Their DNA gets replicated. Replication of DNA occurs, and the chromosome spindle, both these chromosomes, okay, both of them are actually haploid right now. At present they are haploid. Okay, the chromosomal spindles arrange for a mitosis division. Okay, they are not completely fusing, they are getting organized for a process of mitosis. And of course these spindles, they will split longitudinally. And what is the end result, or what is the aftermath of fertilization, is that diploidy is restored diploid status. Okay, and the sex of the future fetus has now been determined, and the process of cleavage has already begun, because we saw that both of these pronuclei, they are getting arranged for a process of mitotic division, which is going to give rise to two cells, right? So in human beings, actually there is not a single cell zygote stage, is actually not there. Okay, they are immediately going to divide into two cells, then they are going to further divide. That we've already discussed in the first and second week of embryogenesis, right? So this is about fertilization. This is the aftermath of fertilization, and after this cleavage occurs. We've already discussed that. Now we'll be discussing in future videos, we'll be discussing about the third week of embryogenesis also in detail. So please do stay subscribed to this channel, and thank you.